Hello there and welcome back to another video. Now today I'm going to be looking at the Premier League restart and the next steps and challenges before the football can return. Now the Premier League, apparently we could be returning to training by Monday, which is, I think the Premier League are going to be looking at the Bundesliga, how that does this weekend. I've done another separate video on the Bundesliga, so feel free to check that one out. I might put a link to in the description of this video pointing to that video as well, so feel free to check that one out, where I'm telling you what team I'm going to be looking at and what team I'm going to be sort of following while the Bundesliga restarts. And I think that the Bundesliga could be the paving way of whether this works, whether this could work, or whether it won't work, or whether it's going to be too soon for the Premier League to be coming back. It could be a big example. We've still also got to see whether the Bundesliga actually comes back at the weekend. There's still, obviously, 4 or 5 days before the weekend anyway, but even so, anything can happen within a couple of hours, never mind a couple of days. So we, as of right now, we're fingers crossed, hoping that the Bundesliga comes back and can come back and do it safely and everything like that, and it can hopefully show us, the Premier League, and our clubs and our teams and everything, and the government as well, that it can be done safely if you take the protocols and the safety precautions that they have taken as well. So what is their next set of steps? So the Premier League clubs met on Monday to discuss a return to action, which is where I think you've seen a lot of this news coming around about the no relegation, no voiding of the season either, which has got the backs up of a lot of clubs, or I should say not clubs, sorry, club supporters of, say, like lower six, like bottom six teams and stuff like that. Some of our, like, I'm a Liverpool fan, if you didn't know, but some of our rivals and people that are closest round to us or don't want us winning a title or anything like that, they are really, really upset that null and voiding the season isn't an option anymore. They're upset that that's been taken off the table. Having no relegation as well doesn't seem to be an option. So the bottom six clubs are now really a little bit, well, you are either going to have to play your games, or it will be done on a points per game basis, or sporting merit, which is the phrase that's being thrown around as well. The next steps will be players, managers, and the Premier League to meet this week. Now, I do believe that there is a meeting happening today, but I'm not sure at what time. I'm recording this at like about 9:30 in the morning on Wednesday. So, the proposals compiled with chief medical officers contain guidance about testing and monitoring players and staff for the coronavirus, keeping the working environment as safe as possible and protecting all players and club employees at all times. If all these parties are in agreement, then the proposals will then need to be approved by the government and Public Health England. The biggest stumbling block that they're going to have is the players. Now, I was going to look for Danny Rose's what he said, but it's got a lot of expletives, swear words and stuff like that in it, so I don't really want to put it up anyway or repeat what he said. But he basically turned around and said, I don't care about the nation's morale and keeping the nation's morale up, because what you're essentially doing is saying, well, we are just entertainers. Are we not people as well? And I agree with Danny Rose. Like, it is because for so long footballers have earned so much money hand over fist. People don't recognize footballers as people anymore. They see them as celebrities. They see them as massive stars, as rich people, millionaires, billionaires perhaps, even if they've done well with their money. That's all they see them as, where at the end of the day, they are people as well. They are people with real lives, with real fears. They deserve to be treated as people as well. And if they have these concerns and they don't wish to comply, then that is entirely their choice, and you'd kind of have to support it. You would have to support it. It's a genuine fear. There's so many of us that are a little bit fearful of being asked to go back to work. Like, there was a phrase that went round yesterday. I saw it and it stuck in my mind, and it basically said, it really shows the state of this country when you could see your boss at work before you're allowed to go and see your family. That's not how this country should be working. That's not what we should be striving for at all. And we all have our fears of what's going to happen with our work. Some of us could lose jobs. Some of us could lose, our finances. we don't really know what's going to happen. Similar sort of thing, maybe on a different scale, I don't want to say a lesser scale, but on a different scale, could happen to footballers. And apparently they have been insinuated by either legal teams or something like that, saying if you are considering not agreeing with the Premier League's protocols, consider your financial future when you make your decision. These sorts of things shouldn't be down to thinking about your finances first before your health and your safety. Health, safety, and living a healthy life should always come before money. Every single time. I'm not entirely sure whether the Premier League, the FA, or whoever, I'm not entirely sure that while they may say all the right things, I don't think that they are putting health and safety, risk, or anything like that. I don't think they're putting that first. I think at the very forefront they're saying money. How can we make sure that we are going to be getting the money that we, or the maximum amount of money that we could get from a football season? We need to get it up and running. We need to get it up on Sky. We need to get it on BT. All this sort of business, all that sort of stuff. It's money driven, and everybody knows this. Football is money driven heavily, whether you like it or not. It's not how it used to be before I even watched football, like before I was born. It's not that type of football where people are doing it literally because they want to play for the badge that's on their chest. It's not. I recognise that. I fully recognise that. I love our players, but I fully recognise that in some ways they'll have come to Liverpool because they know that we were building something that's going to be successful, would put them in the spotlight, and would put them in a good negotiating position if they did well to put them into a good, better financial situation. On the flip side of that, that's what the Premier League are looking for as well. And I totally understand and sympathise with Danny Rose's comments where he says, he doesn't care about the nation's morale and being responsible for raising that morale. That's not his job. And he cares much more about his health and safety than anything else. And I fully applaud that. I really, really do. Now, training ground proposals. Now, apparently there's going to be something here, or there is something that's being said about them having to, they're going to have to disinfect training ground, disinfect grass, disinfect pretty much everything that players could come into contact for. There's a silly rumour as well, and I don't know if there's any factual information on it, so if anyone can point me in the direction of it, that would be helpful, that apparently players are going to be asked not to tackle hard or something like that. I know I'm not saying that that's right, and that is literally something that flashed in my mind as I was thinking about it then. But yeah, like that's just crazy if that is something that would actually be a real thing. The timescale for return to group training, I don't think you would have group training from 18th of May. Surely that's against social distancing. Is that not what that means? So if the Premier League plans are given the green light by the government, non-contact training sessions in small groups could resume. But I don't know. We'd have to see how that one plays out. I don't understand how that would work, in my opinion. Anyway, how long would clubs need to be training before the season could restart? They talked about 4 weeks of training, but they haven't agreed yet, as we haven't agreed to go back to training yet. It depends with different types of athletes. It really, really does. I'm going to take the principle of, say, a Wayne Rooney and a Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, if Cristiano Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney are in this same situation where they haven't been able to train or they haven't been able to go to football training a great deal, and say you take them in their primes, whatever, Cristiano Ronaldo would have still been training like a madman at home. He would have done everything that he could in his house, probably is at the moment as well. He would have done everything he could as an athlete, as a professional footballer. He would have done everything that he could to be as fit as possible to be ready to return. His return date to be able to be ready for a Premier League game would be much quicker than a Wayne Rooney, who probably wouldn't have trained away from the football. You know, he might be a little bit different now, might be taking care of himself a little bit now in his twilight years and stuff like that. But there was a time when Wayne Rooney was a fantastic footballer and he was one of the world's best. I don't like to admit it because he played for Everton and United, but it is what it is. He was a fantastic footballer at one point, but he never used to take care of himself outside of the season and would take time to sometimes reintegrate himself back into training, back into full speed football. He would need a little bit longer than 4 weeks to get back up to match fitness, get back up to being ready to be an athlete again. It's going to take different times for different people depending on how long, you know, what they've been doing while they've been at home. Like a James Milner. James Milner is the ultimate professional. He'll be fit as a fiddle, no doubt. And I have absolutely, you know, no doubts that like our club and teammates and stuff like that have been working their asses off while they've been away as well. So I'm fully confident that they'll be okay, but it's going to be different for different sets of people depending on what they're allowed to do outside of training and stuff like that as well. And then the Premier League return date, if they're looking for 4 weeks training, they'll be looking to at the 15th of June. So the 12th of June restart date would come too soon, but it's 3 days later, man. So, like, I mean, it's not really that much difference. Deadlines for a restart, adamant on Monday that the clubs were not working to a set deadline, which is good. It's just the proposals that have a deadline, which is, you know, one of those things as well. And again, neutral venues versus home and away games. Opposition from a number of clubs over the previous preference to play matches at 8 to 10 neutral venues. I still don't think. Now, what were the reasons? Liverpool would be all but assured of the title. The race for Champions League qualification, the fight to avoid relegation are far from certain. The impact on clubs who do or don't succeed in these battles will only be reinforced by the financial constraints expected to be felt across the football industry in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. Clubs are keen to defend their corner, explore every avenue. All right, I don't believe that relegation threatened clubs have really thought it through. And I think I said this in a video the other day, that you've got if you go to neutral venues, no one has a home or away advantage. Now, if you go to your home and away venues and you say say if you're West Ham and you've got to go and face Liverpool at Anfield, something like that, you would rather face that game in a neutral venue. You would, even though there's no crowd or audience or anything like that. There's no atmosphere at Anfield with no fans and stuff like that in the actual in the ground or anything like that. You're still travelling to a ground that is a fortress for Liverpool, and it's been great for us. We play so much better there than anywhere else, in my opinion. You would rather take that game if you're battling relegation. You'd rather take that game to a neutral venue. I don't think that relegation teams have really thought that out. It's more of a mental thing going to travel somewhere that is a fortress and stuff like that than it would have been to, right, you're both going to neutral venues. It could have actually benefited relegation threatened clubs, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens with that one anyway. So I think that the Bundesliga could be the paving way of the Premier League coming back. It could set an example of how to do it. It could also set an example of how not to do it. We will have to see what happens when the Bundesliga comes back. But let me know what your thoughts are on everything that has been in this article about how we can restart, and the players' comments and stuff like that as well. Like things like what Danny Rose has said. I truly do agree with them. I can't disagree with what they're saying. I still think that a June restart is too soon. That is my opinion. There's a lot of people that are just really craving and wanting football back, and I get it. I want football back as well. But we've also got to take into consideration all the health and safety considerations that come with everything, not just professional athletes, but the general public, and also the club staff, the medical staff that will be working with these clubs, with these teams, with these fixtures. I don't know. There's 92 games left to play in the Premier League. It's a lot of games to play. Just got to see how it all plays out, shall we say. So I'll leave it there for now. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do like it and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you once again. Have a good day, and I'll catch you later.